Hi, I'm Cammie Guildner of Syzygy Coaching. I'm a licensed leadership empowerment coach, and I help successful women discover their next chapter in their life, one filled with passion and meaning. One of the things I'm really passionate about myself is connecting great women to great women, and it was on this premise that I founded the Extraordinary Women Connect series. I realized how many wildly successful women I knew in my life, and I wanted to bring these connections together. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Meg VanderLaan, who's the Chief Communications Officer at MWH Global. We're going to explore with Meg some of my favorite topics: meaning, passion, courage, and lessons in life. You're going to be in for a real treat today. Right now, if you're joining in on the webinar, just a few logistical tips for those of you new to webinars. You're joining the webinar on mute. At the end of our interview, you'll get the opportunity to ask Meg some questions, and we'll unmute the lines, or you can also submit them in the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce you to Meg VanderLaan. Meg is the Chief Communications Officer at MWH Global, a company that does great things around the world, from providing water systems to engineering systems. It's a company I've watched for several years, and they really do some fun and fascinating things. Meg is charged with strengthening the MWH brand by increasing awareness of the organization globally while improving employee and customer loyalty. She has a passion for taking complex subjects that often accompany the MWH projects and effectively communicating those topics in a way that is relatable, accessible, and easily understood for people and communities around the world. Holding true to the corporate mission of building a better world, she recognizes that the little things can make a big difference. And as MWH continues to drive the wet infrastructure sector, she champions the MWH story through global communications efforts. Outside of the office, Meg is busy too. She's active in several organizations, including serving on the management group of the Downtown Denver Partnership, the Denver Civic Ventures Board of Directors, and the Downtown Denver Events Board of Directors. Recently, she was named to the Board of Trustees for Gannon University in Erie, Pennsylvania. In her spare time, she enjoys skiing, mountain biking, and traveling. With that, Meg, I'd love to welcome you. Thank you for joining us today, and hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. It's great to have you here. We're going to just jump right in here, and I'm going to want you to think about a time when there's times that show up in our life that shift and change the shape of our lives forever. It's those defining times or moments that forever change our life. Can you think of a time that that shifted and changed the path of your own life?
Well, I love this question because for me there have been so many defining moments, and really I kind of look at the path of my life as this journey, and there are several defining moments where you can think about some of the movies that are out there that have what if I would have gone down this road, or what if I did take this road, but what if I would have gone down this road? And there are so many of those moments in life where either it's getting a new job, or you're deciding on what you're going to study or what you're going to focus on in your career. Moving from Ohio to Colorado, there are so many paths along the way that sometimes I stop and think about, and I look back and I say, well, if I would have stayed in Cleveland, where would I be? If I would have moved here, what would that be? So there are definite moments along the journey of life, and so many of those define where I am today. So it's fun to look back and think about those different moments in life.
So lots of what-if scenarios that you could have chosen one path or another, but for whatever reason, you kept making this choice or that choice, and this is where you've landed today.
Right, right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I think about the role that I have currently with MWH. There were so many different components of my life that had to be there to build on one another in order to get me to where I was today. So I don't think if I would have taken one of those other paths that I would have ended up in the same place.
And because I've heard your story on what you're doing at MWH right now and why MWH is such a meaningful place for you to work, just share with our audience what it is that moves you at MWH. Why is MWH such an exciting place for you to be right now?
Well, yesterday I just celebrated my 5th anniversary here. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years already.
Congratulations.
But thanks. I've been telling Cammie that I drive a significant amount of miles to get to my office every day. I live about 45 miles away, and anybody who's around me knows that I drive a long time to get here. So I take advantage of that drive time either with carpooling or with audiobooks. But the reason I endure that drive is the reward on the other side is really great. I've always been a storyteller. That's my favorite thing to do, is to learn from other people's stories and to tell other people's stories. And as Cammie said in her intro, I love to take these complicated subjects. I work with really, really smart people who have very technical and complicated stories to tell, and I like to take those stories and frame them in a way that they're really understandable to multiple audiences, and that's really what drives me. And working for a global company and knowing what we're doing to make an impact, our purpose is building a better world, and given that purpose and really using that to frame what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis has a lot of meaning in it for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. So some of life's biggest breakthroughs often happen following a period of self-doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Sometimes it takes just that 20 seconds of courage to step through those emotions, to take risk and step out on the edge of our comfort zones. Can you share a time in your career when you felt those same uncertainties, but you pushed through it? You were stepping out at the edge of your comfort zone.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the subject of courage, because that's really one of my favorite values, or one of my favorite words to think about, because so much of what we do in life is having the courage to take that step. It's really easy to stay in a position. It's really easy to stay in a place, and it's much, much harder to have the courage to go outside, meet new people, put yourself in a place that you've never been before. But I believe that when you take those steps and you take that courage, your life is so much richer. I think of several examples of times when I felt really uncomfortable, even going back to when I graduated from high school, choosing a college in Gannon University, where I was the only one from my high school. I was the only one from my group of friends who was going to school there. So I knew no one. I knew nothing about the people I was going to be with. And turns out that the group of friends, the core group of friends that I have from college, I'm still very, very close to today, and rely on them tremendously for a lot of my support. And I think in addition, another time of courage was coming here and choosing to come to MWH. I've been working at Gates for 13 years. I had a little hiatus in the middle of working for a dot-com startup, but coming to MWH was a big step for me. I was leaving a very comfortable environment where for 13 years I had the opportunity to get to know people. I knew children's names, pets' names, birthdays. We played softball together. There were all kinds of interactions I had with people who I worked with, in addition to being very comfortable and familiar with the product. Moving to MWH took a lot of courage, and I started wondering, what is it that I really know how to do? What is it that I can offer to this organization? And coming in and now celebrating 5 years, looking back, thinking about how great it is that I've had the opportunity to meet all of these new people and learn their children's names and their pets' names. But in the beginning, when you're put into a new environment, you almost think, oh my gosh, what have I done? It was so easy before. And you forget that it takes a while to build up, and it takes a while to get comfortable. And but you have to be willing to take that step, or you have the same thing you've always had, which wasn't a bad thing. It was a great place for me to grow and learn.
Right.
And I just knew that there was something more.
Right. And so how were you tapping into that courage when those moments of fear would show up for you, and you'd start to get that hesitation, and you would start, it's like, what helped you tune into that courage?
Well, when I was in high school, I went to an all-girls high school, And one of the things that I really learned in an all-girls school is that the girls do everything. They're the club leaders, they're the captain of the sports teams. They can do everything because they have to do everything. And I think that that's something that I just had this, I never realized that I couldn't do something because it's kind of been there with me.
That's what everybody did.
That's what everybody did, exactly.
Right.
So
right.
I also have this phrase that my husband and I use when we're evaluating opportunities that are in front of us. We always talk about the pros and cons, that, what if we take this path in the road, what if we take this path in the road? And then the question that we always ask ourselves is, if I take journey A, will I regret turning away from journey B, or the opposite? So we always ask, if I don't do this, if I don't take advantage of this opportunity, will I regret it? And if the answer is yes, then you go for it. And if the answer is no, well then there are other factors.
Okay, that's a good question to ask yourself, to keep in mind. Is just, will I regret this later if I don't take this step?
Right.
Okay. So if you had the opportunity to bring a single piece of advice to a special young woman in your life, be it a daughter, a niece, or just someone you're really particularly close to, what would that golden nugget, those guiding pearls of wisdom be for that young woman?
So I think it's funny that you ask me to keep to one thing, because I always have multiple answers to questions. But I guess if I have to pick one thing, something that's been really, really important to me in my career has been the ability to network and to keep my network strong, and to not just to go to a business function and pass out my business cards because, I can, and collect business cards. I'm talking about real connection, real meaning, and really caring about the people in my network. The people in my network are people who, if I don't talk to Cammie, if I don't talk to you for 6 months to a year, it goes by fast, and it's just like we just spoke to each other yesterday. So one piece of advice, have a really strong network, maintain that network. I think every job that I have ever had in my life has either been because of someone in my network, either directly introducing me or recommending me, or somebody hiring me, somebody who knew me, bringing me in. So really, really important.
And circumstances change. I mean, I think about my network when I was in the corporate world, and then as I became an entrepreneur, and my circumstances changed, but I can also tell you that that's how I've grown my business as an entrepreneur, is through my network and through the relationships that I've maintained and kept for years and years and years.
Definitely.
The other piece about that relationship piece is it's a two-way street. It's like, how can we help each other? What do you need? And always asking those questions and understanding how you might be able to extend an arm to someone else.
Right.
Yeah, nice. How do you mentor and guide women today?
Well, I've been really fortunate. I've been invited to participate in a number of different mentoring circles or mentoring programs. Just recently I was asked to be part of the Biz Women event that was sponsored by the Denver Business Journal, and it was a simultaneous event where 40 different cities had 40 women in those cities doing a speed networking and speed mentoring event, and that was a great opportunity for me personally. I felt like I got a lot of energy out of that because I was able to connect with a number of women through the course of the morning and have a nice dialogue. It was short. It was too short. It's always too short. But it was a really nice dialogue, and really was able to understand what concerns are for individuals who are moving forward in their career and maybe looking to make a move, or maybe looking to just impact and change the way that they operate on a daily basis. I've also had the opportunity to do some mentoring for the Foundation for Global Scholars, which is an organization that focuses on really bringing forward young students or individuals who are looking for global study abroad opportunities, global internships, and opportunities with companies that are working on a global basis. So I've done some mentoring programs with them where I've had the ability to connect with some students who are in that place in their life where they're really looking for an opportunity on a global scale. And then I have several individuals who I work with, and it's not just what I'm able to provide to them. I think being mentored is something that we can do for our entire career. I don't think that there's ever a place where we get to as individuals where we can say, yeah, I don't need a mentor anymore. I receive mentoring from all kinds of different people, from men and women in my network, and it's great to be able to know that I can count on them to receive that kind of feedback and example, and then I can change up what I'm doing and make it better.
What are some of the themes you're coming into in some of these mentoring relationships, either in the Denver Business Journal event that you had, or even just women that you're working with, more closely? What types of themes show up in those discussions, in those relationships?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the way that women and men communicate.
Okay.
Women and men communicate in some ways very similar ways, but in some regards there are differences. So I've heard it kind of as simply as the report versus rapport, and while not stereotyping at all, it seems that there are conversations with men that sometimes surround, did you see the news last night? Did you happen to see that game last night? Can you believe the traffic this morning? That seems to be a very comfortable area. Oftentimes with women, the rapport, oh, how's your husband? I heard that he wasn't feeling well, or oh, how did you do when you gave that presentation last week, and building the rapport. And that's not to say that women are not good at reporting on what was happening, and it's not to say that men are not strong in building relationships and rapport. That's just kind of a comfort zone. And a lot of the mentoring conversations are about, I am giving a presentation and the makeup of the audience is X, and so how do I deliver my message effectively? How do I choose the right words? How do I present what I need to be doing, recognizing the makeup of the audience? So that seems to be one of the biggest themes in the conversations that I have.
Is around communication and how you communicate back into the different groups of people in a way that's really relevant to them.
Right, and I think emotional intelligence is also another one that we've been talking about a lot in emotional intelligence, not only recognizing and being comfortable in how you are coming across, but also recognizing the audience that you're speaking to. How are they receiving what you're saying? How are they responding to what you're saying? And really figuring out, do you need to take a course correction if it appears that things aren't quite going the way that you're expecting them to go.
To be tuned in and aware of what's going on around you and being able to maneuver within that.
Right, right.
Okay, okay. So who are your personal heroes, and how have they made a difference in your life?
I was named after both of my grandmothers, so
nice.
Margaret and Anne. So Margaret is my mom's mom, and Anne is my dad's mom, and there are so many people I admire, and if I have to narrow it down to just two, I think these two embody so many of the different values that are so important to me. Both of these women were immigrants when they were children. Margaret came from Hungary, and Anne came from an area that is now Yugoslavia, and both of them had languages that were different than ours, so they had to cross over that and be courageous and learn a new language. They had to make their way in a new world, and I think just thinking about the time when they were growing up in the early 1900s, and through the Depression and through the 1950s, and just continuing to make their way. Both of these women lived to be in their early 90s, and when I knew them as a child, I think about the values of family, the values of faith, the the spirit of giving that they always had. Both of them worked so hard and really didn't have a lot of money, but they gave in so many ways, and their giving seemed to be endless. And both of them were widowed. Anne was widowed twice, and so both of these women had to stand up and keep going even when the odds were against them. And so they were very loving and just really wonderful people. And I think looking at those values, I think that I don't care if it's 2014 or if it's 1932, if you have those values, you can be successful in whatever it is you're doing.
Nice, nice. So it's really tuning into the values that they brought forth and they taught. And so were they teaching those values to you, or was it that you experienced them, you watched them?
I think it's really a combination. I mean, the way that they live, just the example of their life, and I think the other thing too, it's kind of funny. Both of them had multiple grandchildren, but I think if you ask any one of us, we would say that we were the most important. And so she treated everybody as an individual, himself or herself, and I think that's really special when they really engaged with all of us on an individual basis. They were our best fans and our best supporters.
Nice, nice. So despite the fact, I mean, given that you're such a busy, busy lifestyle that you have, whose shoulders do you stand on to be able to see above all the craziness? What makes your support system work? How do you take care of you?
Well, I will have to say that the very first person whose shoulders I stand on all the time are my husband's shoulders, John.
Yeah.
He is the best supporter. He sees me when I am at my ultimate best, and he sees me when I am not such a fun person to be around, and he sees me in all the times in between, and he still loves me. But he's such an encouraging person, and it's really great to have him in my life. And so first and foremost, definitely John, and we have a lot of fun together. I also think that I wouldn't be here without my family. Family is so important to me, and just knowing that they're there, whether it's parents, siblings, in-laws, aunts, uncles, Anne and Margaret, who I talked about earlier, just throughout life, the family support system has really been there for me.
Are they spread around the country? Are they here in Colorado, or where's your family?
We're all over the world now, officially.
Okay.
My older sister just moved to Bangkok a couple of months ago, and we have the core of our where we were born in Ohio, and we have a group of family out here. We've had our parents move to Colorado, and my brother and sister are also here as well, and we have other family in Detroit. So here, and then we also have other relatives in the Netherlands and around the world. So it's
so
a big.
How do you all stay connected?
I always like the opportunity to have face-to-face contact. That's not always possible, so we do a lot of texting, and we send each other emails, and FaceTime is also a wonderful tool as well.
Nice, nice. So what would your 70-year-old self tell you today?
70-year-old self. Well, she probably would tell me to eat, write, and exercise, so I probably should listen to her appropriately, because that's probably not doing so well in that area. Probably could do better. I'll just say that. But I think my 70-year-old self would say, life is short. Be loving and be giving.
Yeah. Nice.
Life is way too short.
Yeah. So live every day, right?
Right.
Absolutely. So my favorite question is what makes your heart sing and dance in your life today?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I love that opportunity to connect with people. Given that I've been working for MWH for the last 5 years and Gates the 13 years before that, I've had the opportunity to find people, work with people around the globe. But I think it really started long before that, when I was 14, I had the opportunity to meet a young woman in Germany, and she became my pen pal, and this was long before the days of emails and online connections and cell phones. This was back in the day where you put your pen to the paper and you write, and I've had the opportunity to connect with so many individuals around the world and build these relationships over the years, and I'm still in very close contact with my friend Claudia in Germany and my friend Anne in Belgium and several others around the world, but not even just around the world, but around the country. I talked about my college friends. It really, really makes me happy when there's an opportunity to connect with people on a very personal level. I'm a very emotional person. I'm a very sensitive person, and I love to hear stories and I love to tell stories, and the way to do that is through interpersonal connection.
Nice, very good, very good. Okay, well, we're gonna open up the questions from the audience now. For our audience members, Lorraine, are you on? Whoops.
Hey, Kenny, yes, I'm here, and the very first question I have is, Meg, what has been... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can we tell everyone how to access... there should be for those of you online, there should be a hand in your right-hand bar that you can raise, and right now you're muted, but Lorraine will unmute you. And you can also type in a question into the question box that's in that right-hand panel as well. So for anyone online, you can do that.
Sounds good. The very first question we have, Meg, is what has been the best advice that you received from a mentor?
That's a really good question. I think probably the best advice I've ever received from a mentor was bloom where you're planted.
I love that.
So many different ways to bloom where you're planted. I heard it actually from one of my mentors who lived on 4 different continents, and I asked the question of him, well, where's your favorite place to live? And he said, well, Denver. And I said, oh, come on, you've lived in Sydney, you've lived in Brussels, you've lived in Germany, you've lived in, you know, all of these different places, and Denver's your favorite. Denver's a great place to be, and I love living in Denver too, but I was really surprised by his answer. And he said, bloom where you're planted. So every place where you are has an opportunity to take something, to learn something, to experience something, and take advantage of that. And I think the same thing can hold true in your career. When you're looking at where's your next step, it's always good to have that sight on where else you'd like to be in your career or where else you'd like to be in your personal life, but don't ever lose sight of where you are. Bloom, and then you have your opportunity to go elsewhere.
Nice. Nice. I like that.
It's a good one.
And Meg, our next question is from Stephanie, and she wants to know, how do you maintain a balance in your life given everything that you have going on?
Unfortunately, this is probably one of the areas where I need the most help. I'm in my car pretty often, and I do travel a lot. So what I try to do when I'm traveling is I try to do a workout to try and get myself acclimated into the time zone. Love to go to the mountains to rejuvenate. We ski a lot. This was a great ski season, so we had a lot of fun this ski season. And try to spend time with my family and take a little bit of time for myself. But I have to say it's probably an area that I can do better at. I love my cell phone. In fact, I heard it ringing a few minutes ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go answer it.
That's a great question. I mean, another, you know, how do you tune your phone, your cell phone on? What do you think about that? Always on, 24 hours a day kind of cell phone and accessibility.
It's tough. In my role, it's a tough thing to say that I can turn it off because I can't. And there's always something happening. We're a global company. There's always a potential of an opportunity to talk to the media or to to work through issues or connect to my fellow employees. So I would say that turning off my cell phone is really not the best opportunity, except for when I do go on vacation. I have to say that I've done a better job of it of late. I used to hide on Saturday mornings. I used to go into the closet and hide and do my emails, and figured that probably wasn't the best thing to do. So
closet emailer.
So I don't do that anymore. But also a couple of times we've taken vacations where there is no email accessibility. So we try to find places that don't have email, that don't have cell service, and just let everybody know. One time I left on a vacation and I told everybody, I'm going on vacation and there is no cell service where I am and they don't have internet. However, here's the phone number. Well, no, I said, here's the phone number for my mom. My mom has the phone number of the resort. So if you figure that it's that critical to get a hold of me, call my mom and then she'll get a hold of me.
I love that. Call my mom. Did anybody call you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's good. Are there additional questions?
It's got another question for you, Meg, and this one is concerning transition and building relationships. And Carol wants to know, you mentioned quite a bit about the importance of building a strong network, and she just wanted to know what are some of the things that you do in building a network and staying in touch with your network?
I always want to know what my friends and my network is, what they're up to. What are they doing? What's important? And I always make sure to ask about those things that are important. I'm a big believer in remembering birthdays. Everybody, I know we don't like to get old. Okay, we know that. But I think every person has a love of their own personal birthday, and that's something that I try and pay attention to and celebrate. And when my friends and my network individuals have birthdays, I know about them. Sometimes I don't know about them, but I do try to do that and celebrate their birthdays.
Nice. Something very special and personal.
And unique. And personal, right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay.
I think those are the questions I had so far.
Okay. So I love how your stories inspire, Meg. I'm certain that everybody listening is tuning into they're tuning into what they might be doing in their life differently. How do they bring more balance into their life? How do they stay connected to the people that are important? How do they tap into the values that we grow up in and that are inherent in who we are? I would like to just offer to anyone online that if you are wanting to really dig deeper into any of these subjects personally for yourself, that I offer complimentary strategy sessions to help you tune into that. So feel free to reach out to me. There is a phone number here on the screen, which enables, or not a phone number, but an email where you can reach out to me to schedule some time directly with me. And also wanted to share with everyone, these interviews are part of an Extraordinary Women Connect series where we are really tuning into bringing women together. I mean, I think this is part of what, Meg and I connected years ago, and when we connected, it was just bringing people together and sharing who can we connect to who. And that's just one of my passions. And so throughout the year, I've got a series of events. Next Wednesday, I have an event that is an art gala. It's at Carrie Fell's Gallery, and I just lost my. There we go. It's an Extraordinary Women Connect in Art. It is next Wednesday evening. And then this summer we're going to have an Extraordinary Women Connect in Nature, which is an executive hike that we're going to do up in Evergreen, Colorado. And there's a couple options to connect in cause where you could join on one of the teams that we are doing a bike ride. And Meg, you might be joining that bike ride. Is that true?
Oh, well, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. We got a a tandem, and so I just need to convince my husband that we need to practice together, because I think it would be really fun to ride together in this event.
Yes, it would be awesome to ride together. And then there's also a walk in the fall. And then one of the things that we do that's really unique at Syzygy is we do equine guided leadership days, where we bring, you get to really explore the leader within for yourself, and we do that with the help of horses. It's an extraordinary day and lots of fun. So there's lots of ways that we are bringing women together in community this summer and this coming fall. These interviews have been so much fun that I've actually decided that I'm going to make these a regular series. If you're interested in staying in tune to these series of interviews that I will do, I won't be doing them week after week after week, but probably month after month, starting in June or July, and carrying these forward. You can sign up for the mailing list for the Extraordinary Women Connect, which is on the website there, so that you can receive any of the information where we're hosting these events and when these interviews are going to be held. With that, our time's about up, and I really want to thank you, Meg, for sharing all of your stories and your insights and your wisdom.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. Thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be passing this. This video will be available online, and so we'll be passing it around and sharing your wisdom even further.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.